Welcome to Small Talk. My name is David Shaw. Crowds can be funny things. After this period of lockdown and with social distancing, crowds feel a little threatening, a bit of a no-no. Crowds top and tail Holy Week. Crowd on Palm Sunday, full of excitement and praise-filled. The crowd on Good Friday, aggressive and violent. Crowds are places where an individual can be dominated by the crowd. I remember in the late 1970s going with a friend to watch England versus Holland at the old Wembley Stadium. At the end of the game, we left our seats to join the main course. We were on the top tier to join the main concourse as they were all moving towards the stairs. The crowd was tightly packed. And I found actually that I was being swept along by the crowd. In fact, so much so that at one point my feet left the floor. It became even more disturbing as it seemed as if the crowd was hurtling towards a barrier beyond which there was a drop right down to the ground level. As we approached the barrier, the crowd suddenly veered to the right, calmed down, and we went down the stairs and left the stadium. What was a physical reality for me on that occasion can be an emotional reality for others. Many of you will, like my wife and I, have heard the radio this week where boys, late school-age boys and young men at university have been interviewed about the male response to women, to girls and to young women in terms of accusations of sexual harassment, sexual abuse and physical violation. And there they have spoken about what they've called locker room talk, about how the locker room talk has spoken in ways that could well lead to a culture where those sorts of abhorrent behaviours are acceptable. And they have spoken about how within themselves they've known that what was being said was wrong and the behaviours talked about were wrong, but how difficult it was to speak against the crowd. It is hard to go against the flow. Crowds can also challenge authority. In February 2003, I and a group of us were down in London as part of the anti-Iraq war protest. There were 1 million of us in London for that protest that day, and somewhere between 60 and 100 million protesting around the world. Our government thought differently. In Hong Kong and Myanmar, the protesters are in a different league altogether. The authorities that they are challenging are threatening them. We will shoot you in the front or the back, the Myanmar protesters are told. The Hong Kong protesters risk the face of deportation to China, with all sorts of things that might happen there. These people, mainly young people, are extraordinarily brave as they challenge authority. Jesus on Palm Sunday is so free and secure within who he is that he can hear the adulation but not be carried along with it. So much so that he doesn't feel the need to accept and take on their expectations. Jesus on Good Friday, when he faces the crowd and the authorities, has the freedom and the courage to choose to be loyal to who he is, despite the consequences, to sacrifice his life, but not who he was and is. Crowds.